Hey folks, update on the bike. Been doing a few things today. I think the last video was about the flat bars installation. So what I've done since then, done a few things. Replaced this hose from the master cylinder because the old hose was kind of like the fluid is kind of sweating and the fluid was coming through the pipe. So I replaced it with that's actually a piece of fuel hose, and that's been on there nearly a week now, and that seems to be fine. There's not a drop of fluid coming out there, so that's that sorted. I've also fitted the horn. I know that's an unconventional place to fit the horn, but it was the only way I could get it on at the moment. I'll probably do something better in the long run. Basically just bolted it on here, made up an aluminium clamp. It's basically just sheet, sort of plate aluminium, sheet aluminium is about 1.5mm thick, just basically shaped and bent around the bar, cut out, bent around the bar, drilled, bolted through, and it's got some gasket rubber on there just to stop it from sliding about. Generally speaking, if you bolt metal or clamp metal onto metal, you have to do it really tight, but if you put a bit of rubber in between, it just kind of makes it a bit more secure. So there's a bit of give in it, but it's basically secure. And obviously that's wired in as well. The reason I had to put it in the bar is that the wires to the horn are not very long. I would have liked to put it kind of like, I don't know, underneath the yoke or something like that, which is where it's meant to go. The problem is, because the bars are flat, the horn control, which is here on this, is too far away from the bottom yoke, so that's why I've had to mount it there. So it kind of looks a bit odd, but probably what I'll do is I'll just, at some point I'll extend the wires and kind of move it down out of sight somewhere, so that'll just have to do for the moment, just for the MOT. So what else have I done today? I've installed the front mudguard. Now I think you've seen the mudguard on before, but previously it's just been like sitting in place, whereas now I've actually bolted it into place. I was going to get some brackets from Honda, but they were quite expensive. They were going to be like 30 quid a pair, so for a set of 4 would have been like 60 quid, so it's quite a lot of money. So basically I just made up these aluminium brackets myself out of sheet aluminium, and again I put a bit of gasket rubber in there. You can see this gasket rubber, that's just to stop them sliding up and down the fork. And then what I've done is I've got these tie bars, cut them down to the length of the hacksaw, and I just put nuts and washers on and put some thread locking compound just to stop them undoing. The mudguard, I know it kind of looks like a lash up. The mudguard is really solid, there's no give in it. It's as solid as like a standard mudguard on a bike. There isn't really, well, there's a tiny bit of give in it, but that's just because it's plastic. You expect a little bit of give in plastic. And then the bottom ones as well. The bottom ones take those like fairing clips and a screw, so they're a little bit different. And this strip is bolted on there. I haven't got a nut, that's to fit that. I've run out of M8 nuts, used up all my M8 nuts. There's an M8 bolt, so I'm going to get some M8 nuts to do that, and that'll be the mudguard finished. So that's the mudguard in place at the moment and sort of basically secured, so I think it looks pretty good. Because there's not a lot of space in here, it's difficult to kind of show you, kind of stand back and show you how it looks, but I think it looks not too bad anyway. I think it goes quite well with the little kind of fairing. So anyway, so that's that. So what else have I been doing? I've also done the underseat panel. It's difficult really to see in the picture. Basically it's just plywood drilled and cable tied into the underneath of the subframe, and then that's just a piece of plastic. I found this piece of black plastic, I don't know what it is or where it came from. I've got so much clutter, I can just like, if I start digging around in my clutter, I discover things that are there from like years ago and I don't even know where it came from. But anyway, it's a piece of tough plastic, so I just put that in as a kind of lining on top of the wood, and that basically kind of fills in the underneath. I'm going to paint that wood as well at some point. At the moment it's just kind of like, it's actually being used for doing painting work and it's kind of a bit of a mess, but I'll paint it up, and either that or I might do the job properly and get a proper plastic fire blade under tray. So that's another thing, another of the things that I've done. Another thing is I've finally gotten around to putting the bolt on the rear end of the tank. It was quite awkward to get this in because of this box that I made. You can't really access it from underneath. The only way you can access it is from the front, which is really awkward to get into. So what I did was I lifted the tank up, put the bolt in, lowered the tank down on top of the bolt, held the belt in place, put the nut and the washers on and did it up tight, and put some thread locking compound to stop it coming undone. And the tank, for the first time since I'm building the bike, the tank is rock solid. If you try and rock the tank with your hand like that, it rocks the whole bike, which is good, because obviously you don't want the tank to kind of like have given it. That wouldn't be very good. I've got dirty marks all over the tank now, but never mind. Right, so what else have I done? Did this morning actually. I finished off the expansion tank at last. So what we've got here is we've got an 8mm M8 banjo bolt through an 8mm banjo. I don't think the video is focusing properly at the moment. Let's see if I can hold the camera a bit steadier. So we've got an M8 banjo bolt going through an M8 banjo with a 4mm hose fastened on with Jubilee clips. There's a little Jubilee clip there holding the hose onto the end of the banjo, and then banjo bolt going through there and into the side of the like the neck that the cap goes into, because that piece, the piece dropped out, which I explained in a previous video I think. So what I did, I had to tap it. I got an M8 tap and just cut a thread in the alloy, which cut quite easily obviously because it's just alloy, and then just assembled the banjo union with a couple of rubber washers. Instead of using crush washers, I've used rubber washers because I reckon they'd seal better in that circumstance. So that's got rubber washers on them. We've got a rubber hose which goes in here. The hole in the top of this old Easy Bleed bottle wasn't large enough, so I drilled that out a bit. This hose that comes from the radiator, that goes all the way down at the bottom of my expansion tank. As I've explained previously, expansion tank is an old Easy Bleed bottle, and it's basically got a monster can put over the top of it. Just cut the top off the monster can and slip that on from the bottom, and it just makes it look a bit better, because it would look kind of rubbish just having a white plastic can. And then I've fixed it on with these black cable ties. Tied it onto the chassis. You probably can't see in the video because it's too dark, but it's basically cable tied onto the chassis and also around the cooling hose, so it's kind of quite secure. And then this hose here, this is the original air hose, the Easy Bleed kit, so that doesn't dip down into the fluid. That just like goes in just about a mil or a couple of millimeters through the top of that, and the idea is that bleeds the air off, so that disappears off through the engine. I think you can just see it again. You probably can't see it because it's too dark, but it goes through the engine and then like out the other side with all the other drain hoses. So, which reminds me, I need to put fluid in that bottle because I've not put any antifreeze in there yet, so I shall do that at some point before I run the bike. So that's pretty much it. The hose, the mudguard, the horn. I'll widen the rear brake light as well. The rear brake, did that yesterday night. Again, you can't really see because it's kind of, the wires tucked in there and it's kind of dark, but that's wired in there anyway. And then also I noticed that this reservoir hose is also kind of sweating and kind of leaking out brake fluid. So what I've done is I've got a little short piece of fuel hose, cut it down to just a few inches long, and just put the reservoir into one end and put the other end into the top of the brake master cylinder for the rear brake, and just put Jubilee clips on it. I think it needs a wee top up of fluid, but the pedal's quite firm anyway. Doesn't feel like it needs bleeding or anything. It seems to be fine. So that's the brakes kind of sorted, the expansion tank sorted, the mudguard on, the tank bolt on, the panel under seat panel. Also put a white panel in there and riveted it on. See if I can show it. So I've got a plastic panel there. That's actually from an old fire blanket box, and I just drilled a couple of holes on either sides and just riveted it in place, and that just means that somebody in the car behind can't kind of see right into the back of my bike kind of thing. So and doing all these bits and pieces, I had to undo these wires, so it means I've got to wire the indicators and the rear light back in now, but that's fine, I'll get that done. So I'm kind of getting there. I've got a starter relay. That's the starter relay there, and this one appears to be faulty, which is why none of the electrics are working. So I've got one on order for about 15 quid off eBay, so as soon as I get that I'll fit that, and then at that stage then all the electrics should work and the thing should start, hopefully. I've also built a chain guard for it, welded a chain guard at my welding class the other night. That needs kind of cutting down and drilling to fit on these lugs. It's just like a kind of L-shaped thing, and it just fits over. I need to cut a bit more off it because it's too tall, cut it down a bit, drill a couple of holes, and that'll be my chain guard. I've got a couple of seat mountings which are going to bolt in here with these little bolts. I don't know what these are, M6 or something bolts. So I'm going to bolt the seat mountings on there, and then the seat goes down, and like I'll bolt the seat through them. It's difficult to explain, but once I've finished working on those I'll put those in a video as well. So it's probably going to go in for its MOT, hopefully. Hoping to get it in for its MOT possibly next weekend. I've got a week off work the week after next, so it'd be good if I could get in for the MOT at the beginning of that week, and then I'd have it on the road after that, which would be pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. Kind of starting to look, starting to get there. Kind of bodywork's pretty much all on now. Just bits and pieces just to finish it off really and just get it running. So that's it. So probably do another video at some point through the week, maybe, we'll see. But thanks for watching anyway.